esiste un posto del genere nelle terre guida. Si è messo in guardia a causa nostra. Non ci credo, è ancora vivo.
Ehi, tutto bene? Ho avuto un contrattempo, ma credo di essere arrivato in orario. Non avrei mai pensato di affrontare quello scimmione.
Collega, io aiuto l'ammiraglio. Cerca di guadagnare tempo.
So it was only a matter of time before we ended up here. What to do, everyone? It's your man Stack 908, aka the Dig Dug himself, and Rajang, Raging, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it probably doesn't sound like Raging. Nevertheless, here we are. This is the monster from Freedom Unite. He's not necessarily had a perfect attendance record, but he's a fan favorite, a very big deal. He's another one of those bad guys. Now, he's not the original bad guy. We already talked about the original bad guy. That's Jan Garuga. You can check that video up here. But he's definitely a bad guy. A bad guy, again, is a monster which they introduced to you with little to no like follow-up between. Now, there was Blaganga that you did have to fight when you first fought him. But in this game, no, he's the only one of his kind right here. So he's essentially a tick-for-tack bad guy in this particular regard. Now, before we get into anything else, let me say that this fight is loaded as hell. Like, it is beyond loaded. So this is what you need to do before you actually engage with this monster, before you even come down into this area. If you are going to do it off the expedition, since I always do it off the expedition or whatever, like whenever I first encounter the monster, I kill him right then and there. I never back out and come back and get a quest, whatever. So if you're going to be doing it that way, I recommend that you use everything you have. Like, take your demon drug, take your armor skin, and absolutely take your cool drink. For the first time I fought this thing, I didn't know that we were going down into the volcano, and so I'm fighting him, and then I forgot to use my cool drink. I'm like, dude, I'm getting smacked very hard, very quickly. What is the issue here? I didn't have my cool drink on, so I was burning to death. Another thing, absolutely make sure you have something in your slinger pod. Why? Well, because when you first fight the monster, when you first come in contact with the monster, when you first given the ability to actually do anything against the monster, you're already clutch clawed onto him. So yeah, that's like free damage. So remember to do that. Have like red pits or stones or something in your clutch claw, so that way when you do come in contact with him, you are able to fight him, you can just use it immediately. Now, with that being said, that's the easiest stuff. That's the easy stuff. That's the beyond easy stuff. Let's talk about the very difficult stuff. Let's talk about my man Rajang here. So there's no secret that I don't like this guy. I don't like him. He's a handful to fight, and even this game is still a handful to fight. But let's talk about the more notable things. Like, if you want to hear like a full history and everything about Rajang, I literally already made a video about that. You can check that here as well in the top corner of your screen. If I can remember to put that there, I probably will. Maybe not today, because it's going to be a long video and it's going to take a while to render, but nevertheless, I'll talk about the new stuff first, because the old stuff, I'll briefly summarize the old stuff actually. So Rajang has this ability that he just gets pissed. Okay, that's his thing. He just gets pissed, and sometimes he get even more pissed. As you saw, he ate the Kirin Horn and got all Super Saiyans. That way he can actually produce lots and lots and lots of electricity. Have additional frame advancements on a lot of his abilities, his attacks, if you will, among other things. So he has a bunch of punches. That's what he does. He can slam the ground a multitude of times. That just happened to me there. He can swing his arms at you, like you'll see him do later on. Like, he'll just run across the entire screen, just swinging his arms at you out in front, like he's doing right now. After the end of that, there is a tremor slam, so you have to watch out for that. He has a belly flop, then has a bigger belly flop. Now, the bigger belly flop, I'm not 100% sure how it actually works. I say this because there are times where I block it with no issues whatsoever. Then there are other times where I block it and immediately die. Like, I don't get it. Like, I full on don't get it. I actually even checked the frames. Okay, frame by frame, tick for tack. How was it that I died? I don't know. It's just in certain cases, he gets additional hits off. If you don't have the stamina, you die because you don't have the stamina to actually block the attack. I'm not sure how it really all works. But just know that if you are going to be blocking a lot of his things, try your best to not block that attack. Just roll out of the way, or don't block right up underneath him, because the closer you are to the impact point, the more you have to block, that kind of thing. And also, he has a pinning attack. He actually does it a lot. He does this pinning attack a lot. I've been able to actually forego the pinning if you're shielding, if you're lancing like myself, if you're to do a forward advance, because in the beginning, it's not a grapple hitbox, it's actually a hitting hitbox. But if you allow him to go through with the first hit, it becomes a grab. It's kind of awkward. It's kind of weird, because you can get grabbed out of your block, but you have to be going through the grab. It's weird. Just know that if you are lancing, try to forward advance with it, because if you just stand there, odds are he's going to grab you, and not going to be very pretty. So with that grab, depending on what form he's in, he will either kill you instantly or you have a chance. If he's in his black form, you have a chance, because remember when I just said when he's all supercharged up, Super Saiyan, if you will, he has additional frame advancements? This is what I mean. He moves quicker, his moves come out earlier, and he's more safe on block when he's charged up than he is when he's in his black form. If he does this grapple attack and he throws you against the wall, he will search for a wall, throw you against the wall, walk up to you all slow like, and then punch you. If he's in his black form, you have about like maybe 20 frames, 30 frames to actually react to it and get away without being hit. If he's in his golden form, you cannot. He will hit you. It's rough. Maybe if you had, like, I don't know, Rise or something like that, it'll help you get up quicker or something. I'm not sure. But 9 times out of 10, he's going to hit you with it, and you're essentially, you may not die immediately if your health is at full, but it takes a good chunk, maybe a good 70% of your health right away. So remember that when you are gonna get grappled. Now, he does have his beam attacks, and he does have his Blanca Ball. The Blanca Ball has changed quite a bit. Before, the Blanca Ball would bounce about 3 to 4 times. Now it just bounces once, whether he's in his black form or not. So that's something to... it's not even a scary attack anymore. When he does the Blanca Ball, it's nothing. He does his Jump Back Thunderball, though. He does this quite a lot, more often now than he used to before. That's the only way in which you can get Thunder Blight from him. It's an odd thing, but that's the only way you can get Thunder Blight from him. If you get hit with the big beam, it just hurts a lot. No Thunder Blight from that. So that's something to take note in as well. What else can I say? Oh, let's talk about some differences between the two of themselves. So when Rajang is in his black form, this is something that a lot of people I've noticed on Xbox don't know. like a great amount of people on Xbox don't know, because I hate to say it, they're Xbox players. They probably missed out all the other Monster Hunters or whatever. But if Rajang is in his black form, he is immune. That is correct. Immune means it does not work on him. Immune to pitfall traps. Like, he'll run to it and just like jump away. Like, you wasted a pitfall trap. Congratulations. Do not use pitfall traps when fighting Rajang. Only when he's in his golden form should you use pitfall traps. That's the only time he's actually able to be smacked by anything that's, well, he's only able then to be susceptible to the pitfall traps. Another thing though, when he's in the pitfall trap in his golden form, he is similar to that of Devil Joe, or in which he can actually still fight within that within being in that pitfall trap. So just kind of stay behind him when you use the pitfall trap on him. But shock traps work all the same, they just don't work that long. So to be safe, just run a shock trap and you can still get the job done. What else is there between the two? Well, honestly, there's a couple other things, but the real noteworthy thing is that if you are going to try and use some traps, understand that pitfall traps is like not the best, because he can be in his black form and they won't work, or he could be in his golden form and then like slide into his black form and they not work. Just remember what form he's in when you're placing your traps down, and you should be okay. Now, with all that said, again, I think there's more. There's a little bit. I'll admit there's more. There's more. You're gonna have a tough time fighting this guy. I literally cannot tell you an exact way to like defeat him. I will. Okay, wait. One last thing. His tail is his weak spot. Like most monsters, their weak spot is their head. For him, it's his tail. So there's that. Use that to knock him over very easily. Use that to get him out of his berserker extra rage mode. That's when he roars when he's in his golden form and his arms glow. His arms become very, very hard and you can't hit them without like mind's eye. So when that happens, hit him in the tail. His tail's his weak spot. Everyone aim for the tail, and he's very weak to ice. Now, that's really all I can say about Rajang. He's definitely a monster. Like, he is 100% gatekeeper. Like, he's the gatekeeper's gatekeeper. Like, if you get to him and you can't beat him, it's not because the game is cheap. It's not because you missed like a secret. No, you just have to get good. That's it. You just have to get good. He can kill you in 2 to 3 hits all the time. So you have to work on your evasion. You got to work on your blocking. He moves around a lot, so you got to keep your head on a swivel. He baits you into a lot of things, so you have to not overly commit yourself. You just have to get good. Literally, that's it. You have to, I know this is weird to say, and it's like that's not very helpful, but it's honestly the truth in this point right now. You have to actually accumulate all the skill and all the stuff you've had to deal with so far, and actually fight a monster who is an actual testament to all of your skill. So yeah, that's Rajang in a nutshell. He's always been this way. It's not just this game. He has always been this way. Always been this way. But nevertheless, let's move on. Let's look at his gear, because actually, I ain't gonna lie, his gear is probably some of the best gear in the game. His armor, anyway, his weapons are actually really strong, but I'll tell you why they're not all that strong. Okay, so his armor is actually pretty good. It's quite nice, and if you guys have very keen eyes, which I'm sure many of you do, this is the high rank armor from back in the day. Nevertheless, the skills are this: Handicraft 5, Resentment 5, Wings Exploit 3, Attack Boost 2, and Speed Sharpening 2. Honestly, that's not bad. Like, all by itself, that's not bad. That's good all by itself. Like, that's good. Of sure, like, yeah, other sets have more what I like to refer to as auxiliary skills, but like, as an attacking set, that's pretty good. Handicraft 5, Resentment 5, Wings Exploit for free. Of course, you can gem in a bit more on the attack boost right there, but that's still pretty good. Now, his set abilities are Mind's Eye / Ballistics and Protective Polish. That's great. That's really good. That's fantastic. Even the beta's not too bad. You still get Resentment 5, Wings Exploit 3, 1 to the attack, but you get no handicraft. So the main way to do this, all things considered, is to get as much handicraft as you can with the alpha, and then just run everything else for the beta to get the slots. One thing to note is that his alpha head has no slots. No slots in the alpha head. But one other thing to note is that to make this armor is very easy. Making this armor is pretty gosh darn easy. Just when you fight Rajang, aim for his horns. Make sure you break both horns. because you need 4 horns. Once you get the 4 horns, by the time you get 4 horns, everything else falls into place, and that's it. There's nothing else you need that's like incredibly difficult to get. It's all very random free stuff. So I feel as if none of you guys would have any real issues trying to get the armor. It's actually really easy to get. So easy, in fact, that I actually went and got both complete sets of alpha and beta, and I'm actually using both alpha and beta as a mix for my own particular set, that being the alpha head, the alpha arms, and then the beta everything else. But his weapons are good. They have incredibly high attack, a little bit negative affinity, like 15 or so. The sharpness is decent, you know, some white. I don't think they really go to purple. But the one thing that really holds them back is the fact that they have element. A very, 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 very small amount of element. For example, the element on his lance is 90. Not 100, 90. So even though they have really high attack, tied for the, actually not tied, they have the highest attack in the, well, maybe, I don't know, I need to see what Ruiner Nerd has, which I don't know right now. I'm just going to say, as it stands right now, up until, if you're at this point, he has the highest attacking weapons in the game. Well, actually, right now, he's tied with City Glavness, but essentially he has another form, so I'm guessing it goes like 700. So let's just say he has the highest attack in the game, but because he has element, you cannot use elementless and take advantage of that incredibly high attack, making his weapons still pretty good in terms of raw, but because they have an element, you can't double boost that, so it makes it a little bit of a bummer. So I mean, if you're very like nice with certain weapons, depending on like what weapon, like the gun lance can get a little past because his gun lance has like wide 6, or like, yeah, wide 6, which is actually very, very good wide typing. It really depends, you know, it really depends on like which weapon would be okay, even if it has a tiny bit of element, because there's other things about that weapon that make it even better. But as it stands, like I said, his weapons, they have high attack, but they have that element, so you can't use elementless, and the element they do have is incredibly low, and it's not necessarily worth actually investing any element attack jewels into it, because I mean, by the time you max it out, you'll probably be at like 150, 200 element, and you know that's still really low. Nevertheless, that's his gear. I recommend the armor more than almost anything else. His weapons, depending on what they are for you or what they mean to you, you may or may not want to get them. So where does that leave us? Well, Rajang, he's top 5 hardest monsters in all of Monster Hunter. His ability to move around so agile and hit with like the power of 10 slamming Mack trucks is unprecedented. Like, no one else really just hits this hard. He has the power of an elder, but not an elder. He's like Rajang. Well, he is Rajang. He's like Nergigante, but no elder. You know what I mean? He's like Devil Joe, but no dragon. He's just a lot. Like, he's a force of nature. The one thing I will say about him is that he's prone to falling over a lot. So if you're really nice, you can actually utilize that to smack him very well. I say that, but that's how he was back in the day. You used to be able to trip him like fairly easy back in the day, but I don't know about now. I haven't fought him enough to really attest to that, so just don't quote me on that. What I will say for you though, in order to knock him down, whenever he's in his black form, 100% not in rage, use that time to actually slam him against a wall with your flint shot. I spammed it this hunt, okay? Like, I don't really like to use it too often, but as the more these fights got on, like the more like these monsters became more of a hassle to me, I started using it a bit more often. For Rajang, it's essentially like a must. Like, absolutely pay note to like where he is when you use it, so that way you can actually get the smackaroo every single time. Again, going here with your absolute best set of armor. Like, if you're under 800 defense, it's not happening, bro. Come here with the good stuff. Make a whole armor set dedicated to fighting him. You don't really have to worry about blights or anything like that, because he didn't really give you any, unless you really care. I guess you could run a little bit of blight resistance in terms of thunder, but you don't really need to worry about that. You just need to worry about your stamina management, your ability to evade, and some attacking stats like maybe part breaker, weakness exploit, that kind of thing. Attack itself, not so much. You just really need to watch out for everything else. But that's really all I can really say about Rajang. Actually, there's a lot more I can say about Rajang, but I mean, we got to keep these videos under like 1,000 minutes, right? But nevertheless, guys, take it easy. It's been your boy Dak908, aka the Dig Dug himself. The next video will be Stygian Zinogre, which is actually one of my favorite monsters of all time. Well, not of all time, but one of my favorite monsters for sure. He's different than what I used to like him for. So I actually have a bunch of gripes, but we're not really gonna get into the gripe stuff because I mean, me griping about monsters, I do this all the time. Let's not do that. But yeah, till then, take care.